Hey, how's everybody doing out there? Wanted to cover a few topics came to mind. Um, First and foremost, a topic that came to mind is fraud. The topic of fraud. Um, this is something that I have experienced and been at the short end of the stick, if you will, um, with people here in Zanesville acting as public servants and supposedly providing services and so forth. But most all of these services that are offered are actually based in some type of fraud. Um, from the water bill that the city sends out with the coupon on the bottom um, that they redeem for the amount on the coupon, as well as take your payment. In many cases, as well as um, the bankruptcy proceedings that the city goes through and the county goes through and so forth to facilitate bankruptcy when it's not even necessary. It's a perversion of the actual system that's been put in place. Um, See, what they're doing through bankruptcy is they're acting as a beneficiary when in fact they're the trustee. The city, the actual trustee itself, whoever is assigned as a trustee over the bankruptcy, um, they act as a pseudo beneficiary because they expect you, the beneficiary, to pay them, the trustee. The trustee is responsible for the to pay the debts out of the SSKV trust um, that's been established with the government since you were birthed, quote unquote, and registered with the state and the federal government. Your social security number is assigned to a trust, and that's how you're able to do business. That's how you're able to procure loans of different types. See, they make it sound like it's based on credit, and they make it sound like they loan you their money, these banks, but they don't. See, what they do is they access your trust. They access the funds from the trust, and then they sell those funds back to you, the beneficiary of the trust that they borrowed from. It's a Ponzi scheme, if that's the right term. But regardless, it's a scam. They're tricking people into thinking that if they don't pay all these exuberant amounts on top of the money that they've already profited, whether it's the banks or the city or whomever, the trustees, uh, that they'll take your property and you'll be out on the streets and so on and so forth. It's the only reason they do it and get away with it is because of people's ignorance. Uh, Hell, I was ignorant enough to go through the process, but it was enlightening to me because when I went through the process, I realized how fraudulent in nature it is. I realized how criminal it is because they are taking advantage of people's lack of knowledge or ignorance, whether willful or not, doesn't make a difference. They're taking advantage of that, and they are ripping people off uh, quite seriously. Um, I mean, like for example, in the bankruptcy that I had filed, they wanted me to pay $1,500 a month for 5 years, I believe it was. It was the maximum, 60 months, I believe, um, which is ridiculous. It was that was more than the amount of debt that I had. It was enough that I would be paying to pay off the property, all the property, and then some. Uh, but these people think that that's okay. They think that that's fair. They're taking advantage of people's fear. They're taking advantage of the fear mongering that they're creating to make people think that they're going to lose their property or lose uh, their livelihood or lose their ability to survive because these people aren't getting the profits that they have schemed and scammed themselves into getting. Uh, if you're out there and you're listening to this, and if you filed bankruptcy or if you're considering filing bankruptcy, don't. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you what I would have done if I could go back and do it again, knowing what I know now. I would not uh, file bankruptcy because it's a ripoff, it's a scam, it's a fraud. These people are simply making profits off of, in that situation when I filed bankruptcy, they were making profits off of my ignorance. Not because that's right, not because it's what's correct or technically legal. Because to have a contract, there should be a meeting of the minds. There must be a meeting of the minds. And there must be informed consent. And without informed consent, there can't be a meeting of the minds. Because if I'm not fully aware, if I'm not being told or informed about what the trustees are planning to do, then there can be no contract. And any contracts that have been established are fraudulent. It's very simple. These people are committing fraud on multiple levels, in the courts, in the city halls, and what do they call them, the mayor's courts. They're committing fraud on multiple different levels, and it's to access these trusts, so that way they can create bonds and monetize these bonds or securitize them. I'm not 100% sure on the terminology, out of the trust. So that way they can turn around and sell those bonds on the open market for a profit. Most of the time, the general population of people being dragged through the courts and being fear-mongered and through these processes don't even realize what's really going on, because we've never been taught the truth. We're not being told the truth. And these shysters are, most of which are attorneys, by the way. So it's not like they're just like thug mobsters, ripping people off and threatening to beat people up for extortion. No, these people, they're much more slick when it comes to their extortion, especially when they can use the idea of government, that they're the government, and they say whatever they say is the word of God according to them, but they're full of shit. Nothing that they say or do has any bearing over me. They have no authority over me. That's not only what the law states, but that's my personal opinion too, my personal perspective. That's the right way to say it. Excuse me. These people have no power over me. These people are soulless creatures that have sold their souls to the devil for profits, for a position, for a title, for limelight or notoriety in the community. These people are soulless creatures. That's why they act the way they do without a conscience and keep doing what they're doing. Especially the people in the higher positions. People in the lower positions, like in adult probation, those types of offices, they're not really fully privy to everything that goes on. But the supervisors, the management, the executives of the department, the heads of the department, I'm pretty sure that they're fully aware of what's going on. And if they're not, it's their own fault for not realizing what they're doing. Because ignorance is no excuse to violate the law. You can't claim ignorance and say, well, I didn't know. Especially these people in these positions in the courts and law enforcement and so forth, they're required to know. They work in that field. For them to say they don't know is utter dereliction of duties and malfeasance in office. They're required to know by law. They're required to know their boundaries, what they can and can't do. These police officers, quote unquote, people acting as police officers, these incompetent persons that run around assaulting people and killing people and doing all kinds of heinous acts on people. They don't have the right to do that. They are simply there. The reason why they were created is to be a mediator, not to be a paramilitary force, to to run around and force people into compliance, and if they don't comply, they get shot or thrown in a cage and tortured, because that's what this is. When you look at the whole setup, when you look at the courts, the gold fringed flag behind the dude in the black dress, or the I guess woman in a black dress in some cases. The gold fringed flag, that means something. That's not there just for to show the flag. That gold fringe around it, that has a meaning. That's a military flag. When I served in the military, the flag that was on my shoulder, on my uniform, had a gold fringe around it. That's there for a reason. If the fringe wasn't there, then we would still have a true constitutional republic, and we would have access to true constitutional procedures, and we would be actually free. But what we have here is something entirely different. We have a slavery of a different type. And it really is sad. It really is sad. And it really amazes me how far they were able to take this, and how much they were able to deceive people. It really is amazing. I know not everybody, because there are others out there that, like myself, they're able to think for themselves, and some even more so. Some have completely removed themselves from the system and don't have to worry about these tyrants at all, at whatsoever, whether it's local, state, or federal level of government. But at any rate, with all that being said, I want you all to be mindful of the situations you find yourself in. No matter what people say, or no matter what somebody else does, or how they try to make you think, change your perspective, what matters the most is what you know. That you know who you are, that you know what you are. That's the most important thing. And once you realize that, these idiots can't do anything to shake that. They can try. They can, throw me in a cage. They can threaten my life. They can put guns in my face and try to create situations where they could kill me. But, I don't give them the opportunity. I don't give them the satisfaction, because I'm smarter than they are. They're just a bunch of idiots. And with that being said, these idiots don't realize that here pretty soon, they're going to realize the error of their ways when I contract with the Treasury, and the Treasury, the U.S. Treasury that is, liquidates all their assets. They're not going to be very happy when they come out one morning and their brand new truck is gone. It was repoed. It was repossessed for payment. Not for lack of payment, because you all make pretty good money doing what you're doing. That's probably why you went into that field, was for the money. So, since you all have corrupted the systems, at least the local courts and other outlets and avenues to get remedy, since you've corrupted all of that, and the nepotism is so overwhelming that these public servants scratch each other's back. The law enforcement sends the people into the courts, and they work together to make a bunch of money off of the people that they're extorting, and from all the racketeering activity, by tricking people, because it has nothing to do with justice, bringing people to justice, or law and order. It's all a trick. That's all a ruse. What they want is, they want your information. They want your social security number, most specifically and primarily, because they want their return. That's what they call it. See, when they run your social security number, They, at that point, once they take your social security number and they run it through the system, they are acting as a trustee. And at that point, anything they do that doesn't benefit you, the beneficiary, they are in violation of. Because according to trust law, there's certain things that a trustee can and can't do. And a trustee cannot act in a way that does not benefit the beneficiary that they are a trustee for. So when these people do this, they're not only committing fraud because they're not explaining to people what they're actually doing. And who knows, maybe some of these quote unquote officers, law enforcement officers, maybe they're too stupid to realize what they're actually doing. Maybe they're just doing it because they were taught how to do it and they don't realize what it actually means. And if that's the case, then listen up if you're listening. When these idiots run Social Security numbers and they access the Social Security trust, they are acting as a trustee. Now, at that point, when they're a trustee, officially a trustee, and people that don't know better accept that and allow them to be the trustee, they can make decisions for the trust. And that's how they are able to create bonds off the back of these offers and presentments, these what they call tickets for traffic violations or even charges. It's all ridiculous. They can't charge people. They can't. They don't have authority over people. According to the Supreme Court, and read it your damn self. Don't take my word for it. I'm not expecting you to. I don't know why you people think that this is my idea or my concept or I expect you to take my word for it. No, read the damn information yourself. Look up the Supreme Court ruling where it states that government is basically a fiction. It's not even a live entity. And the way it explains it is that government only has authority over the contracts in between entities. That's it. That's it. Not the entities themselves, but the contracts that are in. So they're the mediator. The mediator. They're supposed to step in when there is an argument or a disagreement, or there's an injured party. Someone was injured. They're supposed to step in and be the mediator for the injured party to get remedy. Not to step in and be the tyrant in charge and set up the guillotine, and if people don't do as they're told, well, they'll just drop the damn blade. No, that's not what they're there for. This is a perversion of the truth, and it's gotten so far perverted that these tyrants, many of them probably don't even realize what they're actually doing, but they'll figure it out pretty soon. Like I said, when they walk out of their house in the morning and their brand new truck or brand new car is gone because the U.S. Treasury repossessed it. Or their house, they get locked out of their house because their house got repossessed to recoup the debt that was created. Let's see. Hell, at some point, I may even be able to throw chains on City Hall and lock everybody out of City Hall until the city pays their debt. We'll see about all that. I'm going to do a little bit more research before I can make a decision there. But from the way it sounds, the way it looks now, from what I'm reading, that once these contracts are in place, I'm going to own these people. You all really did me a favor by corrupting the courts and corrupting the whole systems and treating me the way that you did and refusing to do your jobs. And, it would have been so much easier for you idiots just to address the noise issues that I was complaining about. For the city to either contact these business operators directly or take them to the courts to sanction them, to get them to mitigate their production noise, because that's the principle of the thing. That's what's supposed to happen. That's what you all are there for. That's part of your purpose. But since you've refused such a little thing, just mitigating noise at night, and because you all wanted to play that stupid game and not do the easy thing, not do the simpler thing, you've allowed me to learn quite a bit. And so I guess after everything is said and done, I can say thank you. Because if it wasn't for you all making your decisions, I wouldn't have learned the things that I have learned. And, well, because of your stupidity and because of your actions, your fraudulent actions and war crimes, which is really what it is, considering that we are in martial rule, have been since 1933. That's what these gold-fringed flags represent. It's martial rule. These courts are military tribunals. They're administrative courts where people get treated like goods, like a product. That's why they strip us of our rights, because, see, they can't do that to us, the human. They only have authority over the contract, so they only have authority over the trust itself. But they trick us. They use fear-mongering, they use threats of violence, force. Hell, they'll shoot and kill people if they don't comply. That's how much they're into making money. It's really no different than the mob and the mafia. Hell, I think in many different ways, I think the mafia was even more honest. You know, of course, they did a lot of violent stuff, but at least they were honest about it. At least they weren't hiding behind a guise of protecting and serving and being a public servant and supposedly being here to help the community. No, they were honest about it at least. They didn't go around acting like the good guys while they were in the limelight, and then in the shadows act like animals. No, they enjoyed the limelight, but they were animals, and they admitted it. You know, they definitely had civilized ways of living and conducting themselves. Sometimes much more so than in these organizations like the police departments and law enforcement departments. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. It's sad. It really is sad that these people are that deceived, that they're working in a position, they're profiting, doing a quote-unquote job that's comparable to a mobster or the mafia. It really is a sad day. But, maybe, I guess, looking at it more positively, it's a good day. Oh, happy day. That finally the truth is coming out, so these people can be held accountable for their actions, and we can set things straight, so we can get back to having some real liberty and freedom. Hell, maybe sometime this in the near future, this geriatric in the White House will get held accountable. Excuse me, because after all, they admit to the fraud. They admit to everything. It's not like it's a secret. And now with the information coming out in Wisconsin and other states, decertifying the elections, well, that house of cards is going to fall pretty soon. But who knows if that's even real? That could just be all political theater, just to keep us distracted from realizing that this extreme fraud is being perpetrated right before our very eyes, right here in our very communities. In the very organizations and departments that you trust, that you thought was there to protect and serve. Yeah, that's all an illusion. That's all an illusion. Because as soon as they get the opportunity to use their firearms on you or use their uh, combatives training on you, they will. Because that's all they care about. They care about making money and using their guns and hurting people. They do their little fundraisers. They do all that. The department heads put all that stuff together to make them look good. They do fundraisers in the community and do all this stuff to, gain emotional support. Especially from women, because women see that, oh, this big strong man, this police officer in a uniform is doing all this good for the community. It's all a facade. It's just a facade. And if you really saw through the uniform, through that weak uniform, you would see that there is just a lost, shattered little soul that tries to find acceptance and tries to find its place in life, or tries to find um, people that will coddle it and reinforce its uh, uh, really dangerous ways of thinking. Um, if it's not right for me to go and lay my hands on someone else for any reason, then it's not right for them to do it either. Um, they were never meant to be this type of paramilitary force. Like I said before, they were simply meant to be a mediator in between the parties involved in a dispute to keep the peace. That's it. But instead, they've turned into this overpowering force where they act now like the victim because they're too stupid to do their job, or they can't do their job, or hell, they just want to make excuses. They just want to make shit up. Oh, he called too many times for service, and we couldn't do our jobs appropriately, so we created a charge, even though it's fraudulent, and it's proof of the fact that these people are incompetent. But it doesn't matter at this point. It's all I don't know. I would say water under the bridge, but not exactly, because this isn't over yet. Um, it won't be over until I've contracted with the Treasury, and the Treasury has taken everything that you own for your actions. Because you're going to accept that. You're going to be okay with that. You're not going to have a choice. I mean, you will have a choice, but it's either accept it or don't. But if you don't, you're going to have to expose yourself. You're going to have to expose the lies and the deceit that you've been operating in. You're going to have to admit your wrongdoing. You'll never do that. So you're going to accept my offer. And you're going to accept what's going to happen. And the U.S. Treasury is going to take everything from you. I just wish I could be there to see the looks on your faces. But it's okay, because I have full faith and confidence in the U.S. Treasury to fulfill their obligations. So look out for those contracts in the mail. And make sure you do your due diligence. And remember, when you walk out of your house and your vehicle's gone, or you come from work and you don't have a house anymore, or you go to work and there's chains on the door and you can't get into the building, you're going to realize you fucked up. Anyways, for those of you out there in situations like bankruptcy or considering bankruptcy, if you're being threatened by attorneys or creditors, collection agencies, what have you, I highly recommend that you look into your options. There's many different options, especially researching the SESKB Trust. that you have access to as a beneficiary through a trustee that, according to the government, Public Law 73-10, is put in place to discharge all debts, to pay all debts. The government is to pay all debts, period. Excuse me. All debts that we incur or accrue, however you want to look at it, it's the government's responsibility to pay these debts. And this is according to their laws. This isn't my opinion. I'm not trying to get to the government to do something that they were not intended to do. This is according to law, and also trust law. But if you read it yourself, read Public Law 73-10. If I remember correctly, it stemmed from House Resolution 192, I believe. I could be off on that House resolution, but I'm about 80% sure that that's the resolution. I'm pretty sure it's 192. But anyways, that turned into Public Law 73-10, which after 1933, when the federal government did away with the gold standard, took everybody's gold, and collateralized the people against the debt and against the future loans that the government would be getting from other countries, they had to have some type of value. See, before we had the gold. Well, when they got rid of all the gold, they turned us into collateral. So they created these trusts, put all this money in these trusts, and used the trusts as collateral against the loans. So if you've ever heard the term chattel, that's what it's referring to. See, they now treat us like products, like cattle, like a cow at a slaughterhouse or whatever, being sold for meat or breeding or whatever. It's just a product. It's just a product on a shelf. It's something that can be bought and sold and owned. And that's the way they view us. It's a perversion of the truth. It's a perversion of the Constitution. It's a perversion of the true intentions of why and how this country was set up and established. And it's all for profit. It's all to make money. And I'll be honest with you. If you're listening to this right now, if you're pissed off and you're upset at all this overspending and out of control spending in the government, stop giving them your money. You don't have to pay taxes. If you look up the definition of the word tax, it's a contribution imposed. Well, a contribution is a gift. Imposed is another word for mandatory. So it's a mandatory gift. How is that something? That's an oxymoron. How can it be a gift if it's mandatory? It can't be. So it's just a trick. So for all you out there that are employees somewhere that are working, look into filing a W-8 BEN form with your HR department, with your employer, to not have to pay FICA taxes, because that's unnecessary. It's unnecessary. A contribution imposed is an oxymoron. What it actually is it's a gift. You're giving your money away to the government, and none of that money is going towards paying these ridiculous public servants or keeping the roads repaired, if they even repair the roads. I mean, for crying out loud, around here the roads are just horrible. If they do any work on the roads, it seems like they make them worse after they do the work. But those tax dollars don't go to that. Maybe some of the sales tax locally, but a lot of that just goes to the corporations that collect it. A small portion of it actually gets back to the local government. Most of the money that pays for the roads and infrastructure and that sort of thing, or that sort of stuff, is grants and subsidies from the federal government. The federal government gives out money to municipal corporations, whether it be local, county, or state for that matter. Um, Obviously, federal agencies as well. They all get subsidies and grants and funding through the federal government to pay for all this stuff. So if you realize this is just another trick. It's another fraud that uh, they've tricked people into thinking that your tax dollars are going to the community. They don't. They don't. And if you think so, then you're an idiot. But look into this stuff yourself. Don't take my word for it. There's plenty of information validating what I'm saying. If you look up the tax code, if you look up the definitions of the words yourself, again, don't take my word for it like a fool. Um, if you don't believe what I'm saying, if you don't want to believe what I'm saying, I don't blame you. I didn't believe it either when I first heard it. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. If what I'm saying is factually wrong, then put the information. You create a video, or hell, I mean, you can comment on my posting. Put your information there and explain how it is that I'm wrong. But I will warn you, make sure that what you're posting, what you're putting up, is accurate. Because I've seen some of these idiots that put comments on my postings where they have no idea what the hell they're talking about. They come across as if they're making an awesome comment that's just a really good dig at me. But what they don't realize is they're so stupid that what they said doesn't even make sense. And everybody that reads that comment is going to realize that man or woman or whatever they identify as these days is a freaking fool, is an idiot. But hey, I just gave you the rope. You all can do what you want with it. You decide you hang yourself with it. Well, hey, that's your prerogative. I can only lead the horse to water. Can't force it to drink. If the horse dies of thirst, I don't feel guilt. I feel pity for the horse because it was too stupid to just drink water and survive. That's all I had to do is just drink some water. But because it was too stupid to, it chose its fate. And like many of you, I wish all of you were free. I wish all of you were able to think for yourself and realize the truth and know what's really going on. But if not, hey, shit happens. I can only lead you horses to the water. I can't force you to drink. So if you don't hear what I'm saying, if you don't look into it, if you don't validate it for yourself, if you don't realize the truth, manifest truth as the reality in your life instead of all of this nonsense, this augmented reality, this false reality that they would like to make you think that's real. But it's not. It's just a false reality. We in many different ways, we are almost literally living in the Matrix movie, in that concept, where people are so programmed that they're just completely gone. They're completely just soulless. So anyways, think on these things, chew on it. And like I said, hey, if you're feeling that strong about what I'm saying, and you have information that refutes what I'm saying, not just your opinions or not somebody else's opinions, if you have a law, if you have a Supreme Court decision, if you have some actual knowledge to bring to the table to edify us all, then by all means, bring it to the table. But if you bring some nonsense, if you bring some bullshit, you're going to get called out. And if you act like a child and attack me on my comments and, just keep making disparaging remarks, I'm not going to entertain that. It's not productive. So, as a few have come to realize, I don't play games, and so if you want to play games, well, you just get blocked. You'll be one of those horses that died next to the water hole because you were too stupid to drink some water. But hey, it's no sweat off my back. I did my part. I presented the information. Um, you know, I did what I could do. So, hey, with all that being said, I highly encourage all of you to keep your head up. For those of you out there that want to be free, be free. Know that you are the beneficiary, nothing else. That's who you are. If you get time, there's some good information. There's some people putting good information on some social media outlets. One in particular that I would recommend for those of you out there that are interested in being free is watch the videos posted by Christopher Hauser on YouTube. Christopher, typical spelling, last name Hauser, Hauser. If you look up that name on YouTube, you'll find some videos that this gentleman has posted, and some really good information. There's some others out there too, but I enjoy the way that Christopher Hauser lays it down and presents it. So, just food for thought. That's a step for you all in the right direction if you're interested in becoming free and knowing who you are. There's some good information there, so check that out. If you have any questions or concerns, if you want to learn more about this, let me know. Let me know. I'd be more than happy to answer some questions. If you all have them, you can put your comments in the comment section of the postings, and if necessary, we could continue a conversation further through email or other means if I feel it's going to be productive. But we have to crawl before we can walk. So if any of you are interested, if you have any questions, want to learn more about this sort of thing, I can give you some more information and some more outlets that you'd be able to find some good, credible information from regarding these topics, and that way you will be better informed, more well informed about who you are and what you are, and truly how powerful you are, and the fact that these tyrants don't have any authority or power over us unless we give it to them. So, with that being said, God bless you all. Hope you all keep your heads up and try to stay positive in this chaotic and crazy world that we live in, with all this fraud, deceit flying around in almost every direction. But do your best to stand fast, be grounded in the truth, and keep your face pointed at the sun. God bless you all.